welcome back to Farmer Wants a Wife.
Hey guys, welcome back to the vlog. This week we have decided that we are going to film all of our dinners.
But make it real casual.
Just kind of taking you with us throughout the week. Some nights we do like proper recipes, but I would actually say
most nights we do something just really kind of simple. It's still healthy, but it's like, I've got a piece of fish and some veggies and I chuck it all in the oven.
Kind of like a meat veggie sort of layout. So not everything has to be like a recipe like from the recipe book. So we try to keep our meals pretty paleo-ish. Sometimes we chuck in some cheese here and there. All 100% gluten-free. We keep everything gluten-free. We are going to get stuck into tonight's dinner. It is Sunday at the moment and we're getting a little bit fancy schmancy. So we're doing a paleo spaghetti bolognese. Essentially we're going to be doing like a bolognese sauce and then we're going to be pairing it with zucchini noodles, so some zoodles, but we're also going to mix in some cognac noodles, so it's like not completely...
I found out zoodles.
So it's not completely 100% zoodles. I don't know, I'm not like that hot for just like plain zoodles. They don't always hit the spot when it's like trying to be like a spaghetti, but if you mix it in maybe with a cognac noodle,
it could be good.
It could be.
The other thing is we're really excited about is that we grew this zucchini. So
we grew this ourselves. We're becoming gardeners.
Yeah.
So anyway, we are going to get started and we will take you with us throughout the week. Okay, so for this bolognese, we're going to be using 500 grams of organic lamb mince, a whole brown onion, about 6 cloves of garlic, or you could use less, we just really like garlic. We have 2 little chilies from our chili bush. We have 3 large portobello mushrooms and about 11 tomatoes. You could also swap this for a jar of passata, but we're going to be doing that on our own. We have 1 whole zucchini. We have some cognac noodles. Debatable whether or not you want to call this paleo, but I'm fairly happy to use it. So we're also going to be using some pitted olives, some thyme, oregano, some salt, and some butter, or you could swap this for coconut oil. And then one last thing, we're also going to be using some fresh rosemary.
Alright, I'm going to start off with chopping the garlic, onion, and chili, and then I'll chop up the tomatoes after that, and then we'll start going into the pan. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my basil butter that I made.
You're so proud of that basil butter.
It turned out alright, so hey. If you don't want to use butter and you want to keep it paleo and dairy free, I know that technically dairy is not in paleo.
You could use ghee or you could use coconut oil.
Yes.
That's the takeaway here.
I'm using my basil butter. So I'll pop that in there. I'll get it started and then we're going to pop on the onion, garlic and chili and we're going to get it for a low heat and we're just going to let it kind of simmer. We don't want it to caramelize, we just want to keep it low and slow and let that develop whilst we're chopping the tomatoes. Alright, so I'm just going to chop up the tomatoes. I'm going to roughly dice them so that we can cook them long and slow and then let the sauce develop.
Got to get that tomato core out.
This part is very important.
I never take that part out.
No one wants to eat this. No one. No one wants to eat that part. Get rid of it.
Seriously though.
The most important part of cooking any meal is to get rid of the tomato core.
I never do this. It doesn't bother me whatsoever, but Nick is really anal about removing that little part of the tomato.
Get in there with your knife. You get in there with your knife and you just, bam, get rid of it. No one wants you. Yucky thing that doesn't taste any good and makes your whole meal worthless.
How do you feel about my cooking?
I didn't say about your cooking, I was just talking about the tomato core.
I feel like this is indirectly an attack on me.
See, this is how you level up your cooking. You just have a little bit of extra love and care to take out the tomato cores. A bit of finesse. Free cooking tip from Nick.
I'm just practical and quick.
Tomato cores are the worst. Nobody wants them. Look at all that filth.
Look at me. The only thing tomato cores are good for is the compost. We have our tomatoes that are all coreless. Now we're going to pop them in the pan.
So this has been cooking just like on a low simmer for...
I did put some water in there just to like help it not burn. I was getting a bit sidetracked with the tomatoes there. And we're just going to let this bad boy cook down on a low heat. We might just chuck the herbs in there now, just to let the flavors develop. So it's probably going to be a little bit, when I say a little bit, a long bit before the mince is going in, because you want these tomatoes to pretty much fully cook down. If you've got another pan that you could put a lid over it, you probably want to do that. Rosemary's in. Now I'm going to pop in the oregano, a bit of oregano and some thyme. Probably about a tablespoon of oregano. And a little bit of thyme. So I'll probably leave this for maybe about half an hour or so. Give it a stir every so often. Really what you want to actually be looking for is have the tomatoes broken down, or they like a bit more of a sauce. Alright, so now we're just going to pop our organic lamb mince in. Then we're going to end up chopping up the portobello mushrooms and pop them in at the same time. Okay, so before we put the mince in, you can see what the sauce kind of looks like now. It probably needs a little bit more liquid. It's all kind of broken down and everything's kind of nice and soft. Chuck these mushrooms in now. I did add a little bit of water in there before. Probably didn't need to. With the amount of oil that comes off the lamb and also the water that's going to come out of these mushrooms, you're going to have quite a saucy dish.
Quite a saucy dish.
Quite a saucy dish.
Quite saucy.
So now we're just going to cover it up, let it sit for a bit, and then maybe in the last 5-10 minutes or so we're going to add in some of the garnishes. So we're going to add some fresh parsley, some olives, and maybe a little bit of balsamic.
Okay, so obviously Nick has taken the lead in tonight's dinner, but I've got a very small part. So I am going to make the zoodles. So we have 1 zucchini, and as I said before, we also have a packet of cognac noodles. These are debatable whether or not they are paleo. A lot of paleo people do use them, but they are, I suppose, like still a refined-ish food, but they don't tend to be like carby. So from that aspect, they're less problematic. It's mainly just fiber. It's gonna be kind of mixing the two together. So for now, I'm gonna go ahead and spiralize our zucchinis. I'm gonna go ahead and pop the cognac noodles into this bowl with some hot water, and I'm also gonna add the zucchini noodles in just to kind of blanch them a little bit. Pop it in some hot water for a minute and they should be all good. So one thing about cognac noodles is that they have a really fishy smell about them. So I do go ahead and rinse them before doing all this, like give them a good rinse out in a colander first.
Put on the olives, and then we're going to dress it with some balsamic. And she's pretty much done.
So it is Monday night tonight and I am just making a start on dinner. Nick is out at the moment. He is at the gym. I am super jealous because I have a back injury at the moment. I haven't been to the gym in like forever. I'm gonna make a start on dinner. So I am keeping it super easy tonight. In case you couldn't like already tell, I am the one that keeps things really simple in the kitchen. I actually really enjoy eating simple meals. So when it's just like some veggies, some good quality meat, and Nick is really good at the super chefy meals, more proper recipes. I think like you need a little bit of both. So sometimes it's good to have something a little fancy, but it's also good to keep things simple for yourself. So there's no need to really have like really extravagant fancy meals every single night of the week, and sometimes you just want something that's really easy to throw together. So tonight I am just going to be doing a tray of roast vegetables. So I'm going to be doing some cauliflower, some sweet potato, and then I'm also going to saute a little bit of bok choy and do some organic chicken thighs in the oven as well. Okay, so we have our veggies in our tray. So I've got half a head of cauliflower and 2 small sweet potatoes. Just gonna chuck over some coconut oil and then also some salt and pepper. And now I'm just gonna pop this into the oven for about 30 minutes. While that is all going in the oven, I am just going to get the chicken ready. I'm just using some organic chicken thighs. I'm going to pop them into a little dish and coat them with some herbs and spices, and then I'm just going to do them in the pan. Okay, so I'm just going to season this chicken to make it like a little bit more interesting. Tonight I'm just going to use like a really simple combo. So I've got paprika, ginger powder, which gives it like a little bit of kick, and also some coriander powder or ground coriander. Okay, so chicken is all seasoned. I'm also in the meantime gonna saute off my bok choy. When I'm building like my meals and my dinners, what I'm really thinking about is creating a balanced meal and a balanced plate. I try to incorporate at least 2 to 3 different non-starchy vegetables like cauliflower, bok choy, broccolini, zucchini. It could also be like a salad. Then I also get a source of carbohydrate, usually sweet potato or even white potato. And you can kind of like adjust that based on your own carbohydrate needs and how much you're working out and things like that. Sometimes we include a little too much of the starchy vegetables. And then of course the rest of your plate is like a good palm-sized piece of protein, whether that's chicken, fish, good quality beef. But yeah, that is like vaguely how I like to structure my plate, especially when I'm making my dinners. So I'm gonna add a touch of coconut aminos. That is our super easy Monday night dinner. So it is now Tuesday night. We are gonna keep it really simple again tonight. I have just gone out and bought some fillets of salmon. So we're gonna do some salmon paired with some sauteed vegetables again. So tonight we have a little medley here. We're doing zucchini, bok choy, and broccolini. Then I'm also just gonna roast up some sweet potato. I think we're gonna grill off the fish tonight. So just another really simple, healthy meal. We try to do fish at least 1 to 2 times a week for dinners, so generally that's some kind of salmon. Nothing too crazy, so I'm gonna get stuck into it, gonna chop up all my veggies, get my potato in the oven, and yeah. And I've also got some fresh rosemary from our garden. Also just gonna chop up a few cloves of garlic to cook with our fish, just to give it a little more flavor. And I'm also just gonna pop in some sesame seeds, just a little sprinkle at the end. So we have our dinner all done, and this is actually one of like my favorite meals of the week. So we have our sauteed veg, sweet potato, and our piece of salmon. Okay, tonight Nick is gonna make the dinner.
Hey, I have to waddle around. I did Lake Day for the first time in ages.
First time since gyms have reopened, and now you're being a little wussy pants.
Well, I feel like an old man. I can't walk upstairs.
Okay, so what are we making tonight, Nick?
Shepherd's pie.
So we have done this recipe somewhere else before, so I'm not gonna like bore you guys with like the nitty-gritty details of how to do this. Try and like keep it concise, so that we're not like blah blah blah, this is how you chop an onion, because we all know how to chop an onion. One thing that we are missing today though is livers. So usually we like to put in mince and then 100 grams of chicken liver.
Like 500 grams of mince and then 100 grams of livers, and then that gets you about 600 grams, which for 2 people across 2 nights is pretty reasonable.
That's what we would usually do, but we didn't have any livers in the freezer today, so it's just gonna be straight mince. If you can, I would definitely go ahead and add in the extra liver, just because it's more nutrient dense.
You will not notice it. Like honestly, like you cut it up small enough and you're not gonna notice it. We're
gonna go ahead and get cooking, and I'll show you guys the finished product. There will probably be lots of cheese in this one tonight, not gonna lie. And I said I was gonna keep it short, but now I can't shut up. The other thing is that we are going to be using some white potatoes rather than sweet potatoes.
You gotta mix it up a bit. I can't remember what we were buying the white potatoes for. It was for something else, and it was kind of all that they had in the shop at that point in time.
So as a very brief synopsis of what you will need, so we've got about 3 to 4 garlic cloves, we've got a whole brown onion, a bunch of silver beet that we're going to de-stem and use in the mince. We have 500 grams of organic lamb mince. We're going to use a couple of potatoes for mashing, and then we have about 4 tomatoes. Probably could have done with some more tomato, but we'll still make it work. We are starting by just cooking off our onion and our garlic in a oven-proof dish with some of our famous basil butter.
look at these chilies that we harvested. Aren't they cool? You can chop them up and put them in. Okay, so in here we've just popped in some herbs. We've got some mustard seeds, we've got some oregano, some thyme, some cumin, and some coriander. So we'll probably put in about a tablespoon of each, except for the coriander, maybe about a teaspoon. In we go with 3 diced small carrots.
They look radioactive.
Yeah, they do. We'll let them soften up a bit before we put in the tomatoes. So now we've got about 4 tomatoes. You could probably use a bit more. We diced 3 and we've got 1 sliced up to put on top.
While we have got this going, we also have just put our potatoes onto boil. So we have about 6 small white potatoes. We've just chopped them up pretty small. And we're just gonna leave them to boil and we will mash them shortly.
Now we're gonna just put in some salt to taste. That's probably like a half a teaspoon there. I might put in a bit more.
Okay, so we have our mince in. We're just gonna leave that to kind of cook on a low heat for, I don't know, roughly 10 minutes before we add in our silver beet. Okay, so I have just taken the stems off of this silver beet and
This is the tomato core version 2.0.
I'm not that crazy about taking out every tiny little vein in the silver beet, but Nick gets psychotic about this stuff.
That doesn't wilt down.
It will wilt down and soften. It'll be fine. You're not gonna die. So we are going to
add some finesse. This is only good for compost.
Okay, so the mince has been cooking for a while. It's pretty much all cooked. We're just going to put in the silver beet as one of the final steps so that can wilt down.
So you'll notice everything started to wilt down apart from the big thick stems. You'll see? They're all around. They don't wilt down.
I don't mind them. Extra fiber. Okay, so this is all cooked and ready to go. We've just turned the heat off and now we're just going to line the top with a layer of these sliced tomatoes.
To be honest, you can skip this step. It's just like a little bit of extra fanciness. It's kind of like tomato cores.
You don't like it?
It's a step that I don't think it adds much.
You and tomato cores.
Tomato cores is a concept, it's an idea. Leave a comment below if you agree with Amy or me on tomato cores.
I think you're going to be sorely disappointed, Nick.
If you agree with Amy, just unsubscribe. I don't want you. I don't need you. Alright, it's going into the oven.
We're just going to put it under the grill for a bit. Nick's also topped it with some organic cheddar cheese. So we have just pulled our shepherd's pie out of the oven, so we are all ready to go and plate up. It looks very sexy.
You know what would have been good in here? Mushrooms.
Actually, mushrooms would be good. I mean, if you can really do anything that you want, because some people prefer to use more typical veggies in their shepherd's pie. Like you could do celery and carrots and peas and things like that.
Here's the thing though, you don't have to stick to a recipe. Put what you want in there, season it how you like, and you'll always be happy. Felt like it was a bit too deep.
It did feel very deep.
It's too deep.
The best thing about this meal is that you get enough for, you know, a couple nights worth. We'll likely be eating the same thing tomorrow. Okay guys, we have made it to Friday night and unfortunately tonight it is just me. Nick is out tonight at like a work related thing. It's me looking after Billy tonight. It's a 1-person dinner, sort of. I'm gonna make like a little bit extra in case he ends up eating when he gets home. So we'll see. So in that case, you guys probably already know that I'm gonna be keeping it real simple, nothing too exciting going on. Well, I say nothing too exciting, but I personally really enjoy eating this way. Still like a nice enjoyable meal. So tonight I'm just gonna be doing again like some oven baked chicken. I'm gonna change up the spices just to make it a little bit different tonight and more of like a lemon thyme sort of flavor. And then otherwise I'm just gonna be cooking up a sweet potato. I have some zucchini and broccolini as well. That's pretty much gonna be it. Especially on nights when it's just me, I always want to make sure that the meal requires absolute minimal cleanup. So that means doing everything in a baking tray and one pan, and then I can just throw everything basically into the dishwasher and not have to like do a big cleanup. So I've just turned the oven on. I'm just gonna give this sweet potato a little bit of a wash. And then I am just going to pop that into a baking dish. I'm gonna add like any oil or anything, and I'm just gonna cook it whole because it is like a smaller little potato. It's a really good like one person serve. So I'm just gonna get that baking and put in like some chicken in like 15-20 minutes time. Okay, so we're doing chicken again tonight, but I'm gonna change things up and give it a little bit of a different flavor to last time. So I'm just gonna juice half of a lemon, and I'm also gonna add in some lemon zest. So then in terms of herbs, I am going to use some marjoram. If you haven't used marjoram before, it's really nice. It's got like a lemony kind of smell. So it works really perfectly with these sorts of flavor combos. I'm just doing like a teaspoon of that. Again, I'm gonna like toss this all around. And some oregano. Just gonna put that to the side, and then I will pop that into the oven when there's about like 20 minutes or so to go left on the potato so that it can all be timed correctly. Today is Saturday and we are making a start on dinner, even though it's like still technically midday. So we're gonna be doing a meal in the slow cooker tonight. We are gonna make a beef cheek stew, or like a soup.
Give it a bit more time to develop the flavors and to slow cook down the beef cheeks. So if you are going to do a slow cooker meal, try and go for like 6 to 8 hours.
The longer you can do it, the better, because then the meat will be like really falling apart.
Yeah.
Okay, we are going to get going.
We're just gonna wing it a little bit, but otherwise I've got some fresh herbs from our garden. I've got maybe about 4 sprigs of oregano, 3 sprigs of rosemary, 2 fresh chilies, 5 cloves of garlic, 1 brown onion. Probably about, these look big here, but they're really small, like 10 small potatoes. Got 2 turnips, 4 carrots. We'll use a bunch of silver beet, and maybe we might try probably about 1/4 of the fennel. And we've got some beef cheeks here as well. We're gonna chop them all up and then put them in the slow cooker.
And now we're just gonna go ahead and add in our beef cheek, which Nick has chopped up into small pieces. Yes. So we're gonna put that on the top, add in our water, apple cider vinegar.
Give it a stir, put in some salt to taste, and then let it go.
That's the best part about these meals, is that they're kind of like a set and forget, walk away, come back, and you've got dinner made already. Okay, Nick, explain yourself.
I put a beanie on since last time.
It's cold today.
So we've changed pots, mostly because it was taking too long in the slow cooker. We started late, to be honest. You probably want to start earlier in the morning, like 10, to give you kind of a good time frame. Obviously, the longer you cook it, the better.
So we had to try and fast track it. So yeah, we've transferred it out of the slow cooker into our cast iron pot, and we've got it on a high heat so that we can really get this going.
But obviously, that's sacrificing the slow cooker meal, which would have been like 10 times better.
But we're about to add in our silver beet.
Shred it up as big as you'd like, and then just chuck it in and let it wilt down, stir it through.
And you will notice that there are no stems.
How beautiful is that? Look at that. It's beautiful. I bet you can't guess who destemmed this silver beet. Alright, now let's stir it in. The silver beet can go in right at the last couple of minutes or so. Probably needs a little bit more water. Little paleo tip. The thicker you make your soup or your curry or your stew, the less likely you are to miss having like a rice or a bread or something like that, or a base for it. I know that this is kind of loaded with potatoes and turnips in there, giving it a bit more of a thickness as well. If you can manage to cut the vegetables in a way that they kind of fall apart, you can avoid putting in any flours to thicken it, and then you're also avoiding having, you know, like the grains or anything like that as a base.
Okay guys, so we are gonna eat our stew, and then I think we might as well close off the vlog here. Yep. This has been a big multi-day, whole week vlog. If you guys
made it this far, congratulations.
If you guys enjoyed this video, and if you want to see any more videos like it, weeknight dinners, pretty much this style of video, then be sure to give this one a big thumbs up. Let us know in the comments below if you enjoyed it. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already subscribed to our channel. And otherwise,
I can do it now?
Yeah, you can do it now.
See you in the next one.
Otherwise, we'll see you guys in our next vlog. Bye.
Bye.